Good day, everyone. This is Tommy Fazio, Men's Fashion Director for UBM Fashion, and we are here today to talk about Spring-Summer 2019 Trend Talk. Before we get started, I'm going to pass it off to Annalise Silva from our marketing department to talk about some housekeeping tips.
Hi, guys. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to wait a few minutes to let some people who are a little bit late join in. But while we're waiting, we're going to cover some of these housekeeping tips. If you're having any trouble hearing, you probably aren't hearing this, but make sure your volume is all the way up. The audience will be placed on mute for the duration of the presentation. So if you have any questions, you can just hit the Q&A button at the bottom. Our team will be answering any simple, direct questions throughout the presentation. But if they're a little bit more complicated or need to be addressed by Tommy or Michael, any trend-specific questions, we'll be addressing those at the end of the presentation. And that's it for now for housekeeping, so we'll just wait a few moments, but for now, I will pass it back to Tommy.
Hi guys, me again. So this summer, we're talking about two of our events for menswear, one in New York and one in Las Vegas. So this season in New York, July 22nd to 24th, is the first time that we are having a dual gender marketplace. So that's where you see on the slide New York men's and women's. And it's the first time we have a complete, cohesive, dual gender men's and women's contemporary marketplace. And we're really stoked about having that, and we're really excited to see all of you at that show. We also have Magic in Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, we have Project, the Tense, and the Collective, which represents menswear. And that is August 13 to 15. And that is a really exciting season for us at Magic. We have so much activation, so much initiative, so much trend-worthy content to show you. We also have a new media partner, High Sobriety, which will be covering menswear for Project and the Tense. And we're excited to have them on board this season. From there, I'm going to kick it off to Michael Fisher, Vice President and Creative Director of Fashion Snoops, our trend forecasting service that we love to have on board. Michael, take it away.
Thanks so much, Tommy and Annalise and the entire UBM team. We are very happy to be back once again this season as the official trend partner for all of the UBM Fashion shows. We love the partnership. We hope that you, if you're in Vegas, you'll come and check us out on Monday, August 13th. We are presenting over at Sourcing at 10:30 in the morning, and we'll have some great activations on the floor as well. So today we're going to go through the 4 seasonal narratives for Spring-Summer 19 for menswear. What you're going to see today are 4 overarching themes for the season that we're very happy to report we've already confirmed. Our entire team is confirming as the runway shows have happened in London, Milan, Paris. We are very anxious to see all of these trends further confirmed at all of the UBM shows starting next month. Before we jump into the actual trends themselves, if you've joined any presentation with us before, you know that culture is very important to kind of our overall philosophy and forecasting here at FS. So we always want to kind of give you the why. How did we get here to this point? You may recognize some of these micro trends from the February presentation, and that is because we're still working with 2019 cultural macro trends. We have a whole batch of 2020 ones that you'll see next season at the next presentation. But we want to show you how we tracked to these 4 cultural macro trends today before we jump into the actual seasonal narratives. The first one being new local. New local one is a really important one. Here we're really looking at how products and places with heart and local charm are becoming more important to consumers. We're seeing a lot of innovations out there in technology, transportation, that are enabling us to both literally and virtually visit areas that maybe we didn't necessarily think of visiting before. This falls into 3 micro trends. One is new suburbia. This is a really important one to our Main Street narrative that you'll see in just a few minutes. Here we're looking at how people are really appreciating kind of this, the charm of suburbia once again. We're enjoying somewhat of a renaissance thanks to an influx in a lot of urbanite families and millennials that are moving out to the suburbs and to rural areas, appreciating the space. And what they're bringing with them is all of the refinement and, great retail that they expect from the city life. So this is really resulting in a very interesting expression of what suburban life is. Next, we have globalization. And this is really about consumers wanting to support local businesses, whether they're in their neighborhood or while they're traveling abroad. They want to connect to the growing demand for kind of the physical feeling of belonging to a community. And of course, this is not unique to small businesses. It's being used by larger companies as well that have a major global presence. It's kind of, minimizing that overall footprint feeling. And finally, we have better product, and that's really looking at society beginning to recognize the beauty and quality over quantity. We're definitely seeing this with all of our buyer friends out in the industry, but consumers are more willing to pay more for items that last longer, and this is a great backlash to all of the fast fashion over the last few years. Next, we have human nature, and this is really about environmentally conscious breakthroughs and how we as consumers are treating and reacting to the ecosystems. This is ultimately going to determine our level of global sustainability and the future of humankind. Anyone that's attended UBM shows over the last few seasons, you've seen that there's a huge focus amongst our vendor community on sustainability. The first micro trend that we're exploring here is off the grid. And this is really looking at escapist destinations that are promoting unplugging, unwinding, tuning into nature's surroundings, and this has become a huge travel category. There's a lot of our favorite influencers are kind of on the grid in order to be off the grid, and what that means is they're still in tune to social media and technology in order to live this, great new life away from technology itself. The next micro trend is climate challenge. Of course, Mother Nature is our best director and our best teacher. So lots of brands and consumers are wanting to reduce CO2 emissions, large-scale eco-initiatives, and climate-friendly solutions for renewable energy sources and urban design. This is a big one out in the industry. And finally, ecotourism, and of course, this is the idea of traveling in a sustainable way. This is increasing with all age groups, but especially Gen Z and millennials. And this is all according to data from a lot of the travel websites out there. Our third cultural macro trend today is emotional capacity. Overall, this one tracked the largest in our agency. Our culture team tracks constant stream of intelligence from out in the world, and this one has tracked to be the #1 cultural macro trend of the year. So here we're looking at technology continuing to distract us. Therefore, we developed kind of an increased need to connect through real human emotions. We are humans, you can't underestimate that. So all of the sensory experiences are essential to the process. Self-growth, spiritual practices, and personal exploration of self are priority for the consumers. The 3 micro trends here include spiritual practices. You'll see that in just a few minutes with one of our other narratives. There's kind of a spiritual evolution that's begun for consumers. They search for answers, deeper meaning, everything from quieting the mind to meditation, spiritual journeys. It's all paramount to today's world. Next, we have mindfulness. There is a global calling to kind of understand and share feelings with each other. Emotion is encouraged. So through the use of marketing messages and social media hashtags, we kind of see an increased call for unity among humanity. And finally, this one is a big one for retail, human sensation. Multi-sensory experiences are at the forefront of what we desire right now. Anyone that's in the brick and mortar space knows that the only way we're going to bring in consumers to the retail space right now is actually creating meaningful, sensory-driven experiences. And our final cultural macro trend that we're exploring today is the new creative. That's who we focus on here at FS. I know that that's a big initiative for UBM Fashion as well. These are the drivers, the tastemakers in our industry right now. These are nonconformists, and they want to disrupt innovation across all markets. They're changing the nature of how we work, how we shop, travel, eat, and consume. New creatives are challenging the traditional job role, focusing on collaboration, hyperculture, and entrepreneurship. So looking at our 3 micros here is industry disrupted. We all feel this in a big way, from the trade show level to the wholesale level, even to the consulting level, which we are in. So this is looking at the old guard has fallen, just to be blunt, and the new guard is ready to do things very differently. So the face of the workplace is changing, so we definitely need to react to that in a very positive way. Traditional job roles are shifting, and there are a lot of people doing things in a very new and interesting way. Hyperculture is also a really interesting one. It's a very instantaneous, worldwide access that we crave to information, new environments, and this is creating a perfect setting for newness and a juxtaposition of traditional culture, which is something that we really love. The world is growing smaller in many ways, so boundaries and spatial proximity really lose significance due to this more heavy reliance on technology. And finally, we look at freelance culture. This is a big one also for our industry. Workplace freedom is booming, and digital nomads are really having a revolution. By 2020, more than 40% of the U.S. workforce will be so-called contingent workers, people that want more diversity in their professional lives, and they want freedom to kind of pick and choose different projects. So those are our 4 cultural macro trends. That's going to take us right into the narratives that we're exploring today. So what you're going to see, these are very thematic-based narratives, overarching themes for the season. We're going to talk about mood, we're going to talk about color, but most importantly, we're going to talk about the product that you as a buyer should kind of expect as a checklist as you shop through the UBM Fashion shows in the coming weeks and months. I just want to remind that all of these images will be hosted on UBM Fashion's website, and we did produce videos for each of them. Just for the sake of time, we can't show them today, but we hope that you will go to ubmfashion.com after the webinar and check out the movies as well. So our first seasonal narrative today is Main Street, and this is probably my personal favorite of the 4. I can tell you as someone that's been traveling the last few weeks and our entire team has been combing through all of the runway shows, this one is really checked out in a really, really big way. Before we jump into the actual mood and the story, I just want to give you some takeaways as you kind of comb through the shows in the coming weeks. We're going to give you top 10 takeaways here. 1 is urban living. For anyone that doesn't know what urban is, it's just a mix of urban and suburban lifestyle. This is a really big one as we touched in the macros. We're also looking at dad style as a styling indicator. Anyone that's been on any of the blogs or read any magazines over the last few months, you'll see that this is a really, really big influencer, especially for the millennials and Gen Z. We're also looking at commuting coats. These are really time-honored outerwear pieces for spring and summer that kind of hark back to those really great times of commuting on the train into the city, back to the suburbs. We're looking at occasion dressing once again. After a few years of athleisure really driving the assortments, and don't get me wrong, it still does. A lot of consumers are back to really yearning for kind of like clothing made for specific purposes. So, really great pattern-heavy barbecue shirts. We're looking at great leisure wear once again. So that's something you should consider as well. Matching sets is really big. Polos and underpinnings for suits. We're seeing a lot of that out there as consumers continue to kind of casualize 9-to-5 dressing. Domestic bliss is a really big culture trend driving this. People being really happy with kind of the, they expect kind of the zen of, home living, whether that's mowing the yard, enjoying your garden, barbecuing, taking care of the house. Maximum pattern. There is a huge push for amazing clashing print and pattern. We love it. Relaxed tailoring continues to drive the assortments, and return of the pinstripe that you'll see in just a few minutes. So let's take a look at the overall mood. Right now, in this era, the great American dream of prosperity and success is living on in the 21st century. Quaintly hidden behind kind of the allegory of white picket fences, backyard barbecues, and weekend rec rooms, this seasonal narrative shows that the grass is truly greener on the other side of the day-to-night athleisure that's been prevalent for several seasons. On the contrary, situation-based dressing truly feels new again. Colorful shirts fit for cocktail hour, textural knits for the weekends, crisp poplin pajamas for relaxing, and time-honored sharkskin suits for the office. There's kind of something to be said here for time-honored styles that have been handed down by previous generations, giving way to comfortable feelings of nostalgia. Nostalgia is really important to Spring Summer 19, and it really makes coming home kind of the highlight of the man's day. So taking a look at our color palette here, it's really driven by these really beautiful kind of retro-inspired, midtones. So you'll see a lot of swimming pool, mints and teals and aquatic colors. That's very important to the season. Also, the greens are really driving this entire palette. At the bottom, you'll see kind of that lily pad green, the avocado green. We have some really beautiful red tone wood colors and browns. And then that beautiful accents of the cherry red and the yellow gold, all kind of balanced by these really beautiful suiting neutrals. Taking a look at our word bank, we always want to give you some buzzwords: American dream, kitschy play, kind of perfectly manicured life and how it translates to a man's clothing, new vintage, twisted suburbia, because there is a little bit of subversive dark undertones to this too, just to keep it edgy and interesting and non-cheesy, and then dad style. So this is a quick forecast of the materials that we expect you'll see out there. Overall, very retro driven. So we have some really beautiful sporty satins. The ginghams are really puckered, lots of puckered cottons, new ways to do seersucker. All of the shirtings are kind of coming in this really pieced kaleidoscope of patterns and colors. And looking at the knits, there's a lot of really beautiful textural knits. And again, very driven by the 70s and early 80s, so drop needle knits. And then looking at the suiting in the lower left corner, there's some really beautiful patterned seersucker that we've been loving at the fabric trade shows. For design details, again, really quirky, really inspired by kind of suburban gad living. So we have some really fun embroidery that kind of makes light of, office living, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So we love the paper clips. We love the idea of kind of my name is stitching. It's a personalized thing. You'll notice for the Oxford cloth button downs, we have these really great reverse button down collars. The Johnny collar is back in a really big way because it is a very knit-driven season. And then lots of contrasting pockets. So just a quick take you through some pattern, print and pattern trends. The first one is suburban charm. We have to talk about that. This is really just like stereotypical neighborhoods of the 1950s, very Americana. You'll kind of see really beautiful aerial photographs of, neighborhoods. You'll see kind of these, gas station inspired motifs, lots of kind of retail, new takes on retail. And I think some really fun kind of William Eggleston inspired photo reels, just kind of making light of that suburban life. Next, we have Time Out, and that's really about a man enjoying his quality time away from kind of the stresses of, day-to-day life. There's a lot of focus on family sports here, some cocktail motifs, which we really love. There's some great old advertisements that our pattern team found that they put in here as well. So we love that kind of old marketing Mad Men inspired take on this. Next, we have Model Man, which is really fun as well. This is kind of another look to vintage postcards from the 50s, the 60s, old advertisements, book covers, and they kind of make for a really fun, ironic take on, quote unquote, a man's world, because we know it's anything but a man's world anymore, which is a great thing. So we really love this kind of ironic take on that. Now we move into some key items for you. First, we're looking at the contemporary market. The first being kind of this gent bomber. We love the bomber, once again, is, moving into yet another season. It still continues to sell well out there. The differentiation from this season is that we're really suggesting that you buy or produce bombers that kind of come in suiting fabrics. So we love this Prince of Wales plaid from Todd Snyder, kind of made in a cotton linen blend. We love the banker suit in the middle. Notice that the fit is a little more relaxed than what you're used to seeing. It has that kind of, post-war Ivy League silhouette. So we love that it's softer, the button stance is a little higher, and the pant is much more relaxed. It is a big season for knits and sweaters. This we call the brunch sweater. So we love the idea of a button front, polo-inspired silhouette. We love that the knitting techniques are a little more textural, and I love the colorways that it comes in as well. This is a really big one. We've seen it all over the runway so far. This is called a league shirt. It's kind of a boxy, short sleeve, woven, inspired by kind of all those recreational pastimes, bowling, etc. Bold color blocking is really important for wovens overall. The pant in the middle is the executive pant. We're definitely focusing on a very clean crease. The pleats are subtle. Again, this is for your more directional contemporary customer, but he is definitely appreciating an evolution from just this slim, plain front pant that we've had for many years. And finally, we have the weekend polo. I love this fine gauge polo. Merino wool is perfect for spring, summer. The tipping it looks right as well. And of course, focus on masculine colorways, loving the browns and the grays. And then we have a couple pages just focused on tailored clothing. We really want to look at some great basket weave, cotton blend basket weave textures, perfect for suiting separates. We love this updated double-breasted. Notice that this one, the asymmetric is just slightly askew. It's a little more center than you're used to seeing. And then also we love this oversized gad suit. You can do it as a short suit. You can just buy it as a sport coat itself. But again, the silhouette is a little more oversized. Next, we have the plaid short suit. Madras is really trending out of the marketplace in very unexpected colorways. We have a pieced shark skin suit in the middle. This looks very classic at first glance, but then once you look at it up close, there's these really beautiful tonal piecings that are going on. And then finally, old school seersucker has its day again. It's not just reserved for the traditional market, but the contemporary consumer is wanting this as well. Maybe consider buying it in kind of an over-dyed colorway instead of just traditional blue and white. We love the idea of black and navy or any other interesting colors as well. Now we're going to move on to accessories and trim. This is just a quick overall glance at details. Notice here that everything is very retro-driven. So we kind of have the monogram once again. Notice that some of the small leather goods kind of mimic things that you would see at motels, keychains, etc. Loving the really bold stitching for footwear uppers. That takes us into some key items here. We're loving the Oxford and Derby returning once again, seeing that on some of the young cool guys out there. Again, you want to look for some ways to make it new. So really interesting contrast stitching on the upper. There's some really great focus on sandals for this man's kind of moments of leisure. And then we have really beautiful weekenders. You can't really go wrong with a weekender right now with the focus on travel. We also have these great military belts because, again, this kind of post-World War II when kind of preppy classics were birthed. This is kind of what we're looking at here. So these grosgrain belts with the military buckles, vintage watches, kind of inspired by Timex. And then the sunglasses are really round, lots of focus on tortoiseshell. And then denim is very similar to what you just saw in the men's contemporary, but consider doing a really great pinstripe denim suit. The jean here is kind of a 501 inspired, very, very perfect straight fit, not too slim, not too baggy. We're looking at kind of balmacons that are trench coats that are made in chambray or denim. The league shirt can also be done for the denim assortment as well. The pants can be a little looser, a little more relaxed, and really fun denim shorts as well. So we want to give you some brand alignment so that you know right off the bat some brands as you shop through the UBM shows you can check out. For Project in New York, specifically at the tents, we'd love you to check out John Smedley, T. Christopher for those really beautiful retro knits. Also, we're looking at Clayman for footwear, 4D Colory, also at Project at the Foundry. Looking at both in Vegas and New York, of course, we love Rain Spooner. For anyone that's seen the collaboration that they've done with Bergdorf Goodman this season, this will give you a great inclination as to how awesome these shirts are. And of course, Gitman Brothers. We've loved Gitman for years, and they are perfect for a suburban-inspired theme. And that takes us to our second seasonal narrative for today, which is Ventura. This one was really beautiful and very much inspired by kind of out west. How do we make out west style look more contemporary, more sophisticated? Your takeaways here are contemporary rustic styling, and you'll see what we mean by that in just a few minutes. Technical lightness, technical materials continue to drive the market. The lighter weight it is, the better. Summer weight suedes are really beautiful. We're also looking at a really great kind of thematic Euro-Americana. You'll see that when we talk about the story in just a second. Black and white landscapes are perfect for pattern and graphics. Quilting done in very refined, sophisticated ways. Lightweight layers, unstructured tailoring. It should feel like a guy's favorite t-shirt instead of a suit. Technical fabric blends that are really smart and function for the guy. And then a range of pinks. Pinks are really important to this trend. So let's take a look at the mood for Ventura. Right away, we were really inspired by, there's a really famous architect named Tadao Ando. Anyone that's seen Tom Ford's ranch in Santa Fe, and actually there are some pictures of it here on this collage, that's really kind of who we were inspired by. So anyone that knows Ventura, it translates to good fortune. It's kind of taking this eternal theme of the summer journey and walks it with contemporary design. So in this story, we were thinking of kind of a European-centric creative who travels long and far to the barren desert for a purposeful reset and a little bit of romantic refuge from the city. So while a lot of people think of the landscape out there as desolate and sterile, this guy really thinks the complete opposite. He sees the desert as the perfect place for soul searchers and wisdom seekers, a place whose raw setting really complements ultra-modern architecture, technical surfaces, and very breezy styling. This is kind of a new nomad, and he really wants to use his odyssey to find genuine meaning in the active, inspired styles that obviously prevail in our marketplace today. So he's trying to find that appropriate balance between refinement and rustic and earthy and modern. Again, the pinks, I cannot even tell you how important pinks are, and we've already seen that confirmed in huge, huge ways on all of the runways in Europe over the last 3 weeks. So you'll see a wide range of pinks and also pink casted browns. The blues are really important, so kind of these, we call it morning glory. It's like the perfect blue sky that you would see as soon as the sun rises. There's a little bit of accent of gold here, and then we just have that really crisp pop of white, just to remind you that you need to balance it out with some of these techno details. The word bank here, we're looking at words like mirage, refined rustic, technical lightness, and serene design. So looking at our materials, they are rustic, as I said, in many ways, but if you look really close, there are a lot of really technical aspects to it. The Oxford cloth comes in a piqué finishing, which we love. The leathers are really lightweight. They look very time-worn. They're cracked. The suedes are super lightweight or suede-like materials. The canvas, we love it dyed in kind of new and interesting ways to mimic ombre and dip dye. We love puckered shirting because it's just a great kind of technical alternative to stereotypical seersucker. And then also the knits are very gauzy, very lightweight. Again, the details are really technical, very utilitarian in nature because we need to balance it out. So we have a really softened bottleneck for a lot of the athleisure. We have some really great lace-up plackets for sweaters and knits. There's some really cool kind of panels that we're seeing on shirting and jacket yokes. We love the idea of really pronounced stitching. There's some great black and white photo wheel applique here that we wanted to capture, and some really cool zipper details along shoulders and cuffs. So looking at our pattern and graphics here, the first one is Dreamy Dunes. This kind of gives you that zen aspect. Everything is very soft colors, organic sand dunes, and it kind of gives you that calming and tranquil pattern option. Also notice that the pastels kind of blend with the more earth tones. This is probably my favorite pattern in this story, and it's called Blackened Sky, very much inspired by Ansel Adams. This whole story is kind of really about a modern-day Ansel Adams, and I think this really beautifully shows that. So you can use it in a very abstract way, or it's also perfect for placement on graphic tees. Next, we have Mirage. which again gives you that really beautiful kind of optical illusion effect. It's really caused by those atmospheric conditions from the sky, from the heated air. So we love that translated for print and pattern as well. And now we move into the key items. The first being this Dunes jacket, really great kind of trucker jacket inspired silhouettes, but done in lightweight suede. We love that it's easily paired back to tailored clothing. So instead of a sport coat or blazer, a guy can actually wear it with this, with this really great jacket. The suit is called the Mojave suit, and it's ultra lightweight. This one is in Pima cotton. We love the one-button silhouette for this, just to make it lighter for the guy. The sweater here is called the Ashcroft sweater, and it's really textural and comes in a really beautiful summer weight hand. Next, we have the Mirage shirt. There's still a big focus on shirt jackets for spring-summer 19. So this one is a zip front, which gives you a really great casual styling option. Again, this would be a great alternative to tailored jackets. Also, we have these Yuma shorts. They're a little baggier than the micro shorts that have been everywhere for a couple of seasons. We love matching this back to kind of a matching shirt. And then we also have these really beautiful Painted Desert Henley shirts. Big focus on luxurious cotton jersey. It drapes beautifully for today's body-conscious guy, especially in the contemporary market. So we love doing that in beautiful colorways. For tailored clothing, we have garment-dyed blazers. Again, really rich garment-dyed fabrics are super important to tailored clothing. We have tissue weight cotton for suits. And then we have super casual layers. Again, love underpinning it with, Breton knits and chambray shirts. Also, we have a beautiful wool silk linen herringbone blend. We also love this slub cotton blend tweed. There's no reason that kind of that tweed texture can't be represented for summer assortments. So here you do it in a lightweight fabric. And also we have hemp hop sack. Again, a great continuation of something very traditional. For accessories, details, and trim, again, super utilitarian. The stitching you're going to notice very pronounced straps and buckles, and also lots of really fun creature embellishments. So lots of fun with animals and other, desert scenery. Looking at the key items for accessories and footwear, another big continuation for sandals. This one is a little more active than what you saw in the last story. So we love the crisscross straps. We love these kind of great nylon webbing uppers. The tennis shoe, the classic sneaker is still here, but we love the idea of doing kind of tonal whites and other neutral colors for the upper. And then that knapsack and other, travel-inspired bags are really big. The more slouchy and casual, the better it's performing. Also, we have really extra long pronounced belts, this one with a D-ring. We love the baseball caps coming in very textural fabrics. This is kind of a structured straw microweave. And then the aviators are back, but instead of, that typical Ray-Ban inspired aviator, we love the idea of kind of lucite and other plastics for the frame. For denim, the smock jacket is a really big one. This is also referred to as the chore jacket out in the marketplace. You'll notice the big patch pockets. You can do a great kind of bleached denim suit, which looks really right now. And then also very lightweight chambray jackets. The shirt here can be really beautiful just to lie with all of the rest of the denim assortment. The jeans themselves are a little bit of a tapered carrot fit. And then we love this gaucho shirt. It's a little bit of raw texture. You'll notice the undone raw finishing on the bottom of the shirt and the pockets. Some brand alignment for you as you shop the shows. Barber, of course, is the epitome of this trend. Always has been, but they're doing some amazing things with fabrics as well. You can check them out at Market and Project in Vegas. Also, we love Meyer for Project in New York, really beautiful denim and shirtings. Also looking at Bed Stew in Project New York and Hamard in Project as well. And that brings us to our third of four narratives for today, and this is exchange. This one's very much driven by the tailored clothing market. So if you're in that world, definitely pay attention here. So your takeaways here are focusing on the new uniform for the man, heritage without all the cliches. and you'll see what we're talking about in just a second. Updates to workwear. 3 C's, cool, casual, and comfort. Those should be driving your buying decisions for the season. Techie tradition, micro motifs, active tailoring. There's a big focus on accessories, specifically tech accessories, ultra clean lines and styling, and integrated tech for the retail space. Take a look at the mood. So this is really, focused on kind of the Silicon Valley guy, all these new tech creatives that, thank God, aren't content just wearing silly hoodies and khaki pants every day. These are guys that work in the tech industry that still want to look cool and they want to look professional, and so we really love that. So there's this brave new world when it comes to how technology seamlessly intercepts with our daily lives. There's a lot of focus on clean energy manufacturing, research and development, and it's definitely replaced some of these other factory-centric industries, but that doesn't mean that there's no room for the importance of workwear. So how do we translate the tradition of workwear and the uniforms into today's menswear segment? That's what we're trying to focus on here. So this seasonal narrative attempts to make sense of this new uniform for today's neo-nerd, is what we call him. He's easily confirming that everything old can look new again. How do traditionally rugged fabrics like canvas, cotton twill, denim, and jersey look modern and even techy? Ultra clean lines usher in a new era of cool, casual, comfortable clothing that organically fuses with the technology that seeks to make our world a better place. Loving kind of that factory-inspired shapes and how it plays out here. So the color palette is very techie driven, and that's why we have that really kind of strong, we kind of call it like Tesla green. You'll notice that lush green and the blue at the bottom. These are all like those colors that you typically see in a lot of the smart car logos today. So we put all of those greens and blues in, and then we also wanted to inject a really big dose of tech-savvy neutrals. So we have silicone at the top. We have this really beautiful lab, which is almost like it's nearly a white, but it's actually a light blue if you saw it in person. And then we balance all of those out with some of the neutrals like the khaki, the leather brown, and the woke orange, just to kind of give it a little feeling of youth. So looking at our buzzwords for exchange, we're looking at the idea of the cloud. How does a man kind of live his personal day-to-day style in the cloud? What's an idea factory? And that means kind of like that hyperculture that we spoke of earlier, pulling influences from everything else. We're also looking at work and wear together, new purpose, and again, the uniform for today. The materials are very tech savvy, but they're also rooted in tradition. So we have some really great, like number 2 that you see in the center of the top row is what we call Electra wool. And we found this at some of the fabric trade shows. It's very typical kind of, mohair blend wool, but it has those really cool speckles of slubs of color in it. We also have some really great like flex wovens that move with the guy. We have denim that has a little bit of a herringbone effect to it, jersey line suiting, and then again that really great crisp nylon. The details here are very much driven by workwear and kind of the factory lifestyle. So we love the idea of ID tags. This one came from Prada. We love oversized kangaroo pockets, plastic pockets, zippered plackets, and of course, pronounced stitching on pockets. Lots of focus on pockets. So looking at our pattern and graphics for exchange, we work first with assembly line, and that's very much kind of that Bauhaus influence translated to today, the factory process, and I think it's really great for t-shirt graphics. We also have micro focus. I love these really great micro motifs. Some of them even look like nothing to the naked eye, but then once you go in close, then you see all the really, really beautiful patterns that are created from the texture. Next, we have talking in code, and this one is really great because it's kind of that Silicon Valley influence. So all of the tech coding being translated to all overs as well as placed graphics. And we move into our key items for exchange. Loving this Tech Harrington jacket. This went from the Neil Barrett runway, crisp cotton poplin, nylon blend for structure, but then you kind of change it up by putting a metallic taping along the pockets and the middle. The engineered suit in the middle is from Junya Watanabe, which is a collaboration they did with Carhartt. So this one is really great for how do you make workwear look modern and cool. Loving the cotton twill canvas here. And then we have this IBM sweater on the far right, really inspired by the old school IBM scientists in the 1950s. We love the return of the cardigan here, but making it much more contemporary and cooler by putting some woven shirt panels with it. We also have the data shirt, another opportunity for a shirt jacket, but you could also just do it as a classic shirt. You could put some really great grosgrain taping in a very great pop color along a neutral body. The co-op pant here is really making use of kind of that utilitarian details like the self-belt, industrial metal D-rings, and the silhouette is much looser. And then loving this E-knit, as we call it, kind of inspired by cycling jerseys. We've seen those all over the marketplace, and we really love the idea of kind of using this as an underpinning for tailored clothing. For tailored clothing, this works right into that beautifully. We love the idea of active underpinnings, whether it's track jackets or cycling shirts. Surface play, it's really just focused on kind of that translucent, transparent idea of the fabric. And then lots of great commuter suits with flex fits. I think every retailer out there right now has a stretch or flex fit in their suiting, in their denim, in their chinos, and it continues to perform gangbusters for today's men's market. We also love the idea of a higher button stance for the tailored jackets. Again, really great cotton stretch. And then uniform tailoring. It doesn't have to be classic suit jacket, but this suit here is just kind of really making use of that factory worker's man zip front jacket. That takes us into accessories. So again, really focused on utilitarian aspects. We have that nylon clasp buckle for belts. All of the shoes and sandals have these really great, buckles and straps, lots of Velcro, laceless and ankle straps for footwear as well. So slide sandals are huge. They continue to be huge. Every retailer that I visit and every trade show that I attend, there's a plethora of really great slide sandals. They just look great. The runners here, again, making use of knit uppers, continues to perform really well. And then these hybrid tennis shoes. This is great for the contemporary or even the traditional market. Really great kind of sneaker-inspired uppers, but then maybe you can make use of more traditional sole, or it could be in reverse. Also, the backpacks, the nylon. Anyone that saw Prada's collection last season, you saw there was a big return, that kind of early 90s Prada Sport. So this is inspired by that. Very techy. Also the body bags, the over-shoulder bags are really big, especially for the younger consumer. And then the smart watch is something that we continue to track out there as well. For denim, again, just do a really great workwear-centric suit or a jacket. The jeans have pronounced stitching on them. The workwear jacket here, again, great zip front placket. The co-op jeans, a very thick cuff, very much inspired by that blue collar lifestyle. And then the factory shirt, which is a button front shirt with kind of a notch lapel collar. For brand alignment, we're looking at Schneider Salzburg, which is at Project, specifically at the tents. Love this brand. Also, we love Troubadour Goods. They have great accessories, also at Project. We love LaJoie for Project New York at the Foundry. And then Swiss Gear is perfect for all your small leather goods and watches, and they are at Project in New York. We also love Kenneth Cole, kind of the godfather of doing footwear inspired by this trend. You can find them at Project. And then Hamilton Perkins collections for all of the bags at Project New York Foundry. And that brings us to our final narrative for today, which is Talisman. And this one is really great for your younger consumer out there that still wants to keep some active, inspired basics in his wardrobe, but wants to do it in a little more of a global-centric way. So our takeaways here, you're going to see in just a minute, we have a huge focus on Australia from a cultural standpoint. There's lots of talk of ancestral stories. Everyone that we know has, taken the test where they see where their ancestry comes from, their DNA. It's a big part of this. Traditional techniques for construction. We want to look at symbols and relics and what they mean to pattern and graphics. Mystical surrealism as an influence. Summer morals, because there's a lot of really beautiful sweaters for this narrative. Also subtle embellishment. Embellishment doesn't have to shout at you. It can be a lot quieter, but still very impactful. Nature's accessories, you'll see what that means. All-season tailoring. Men overall want added value to their clothing, especially their tailored jackets. So give them jackets they can wear at least 3 or 4 seasons out of the year. And then the prints and patterns here are very loud. This is your chance to really shout out the influence. So looking at the mood here, it's really, really beautiful. So of course, most of you know a talisman is anything whose presence exercises a very powerful influence over us. So in this narrative, the complex mysteries of the universe are translated to clothing that are as affected by form and function as they are mystical motifs, magical relics, and superstitious occurrences like an eclipse. From rainforests and mountain ranges to deserts, Australia is a hotbed of spirituality at this moment, a big part of the cultural conversation. And we really see this guy as kind of a modern day shaman who's inspired by a lot of the Aboriginal mythology. We love the idea that this is very rooted to very authentic native and tribal motifs and influences. And we really see this narrative as an important evolution of kind of all the outdoorsy looks that you saw the last couple of seasons. This is less about bold colors and kind of like campground classics, and it's a little more about clothing that has an authentic connection to the world around us, including tribal embellishment, survivalist layering, and all-season protection. The colors are very mystical, as you can see. The purples really drive this. Purple is a really great accent color for menswear, and I really love the lighter passion flower lilac as well. And you'll also notice these really great crystal-inspired teals and sky blues. The red is there just to give you that warm injection of energy, the woke orange, and then a whole myriad of browns and taupes. Our word bank includes spiritual sojourns, authentic connection to your clothes, the dreaming, energy-evoking styling, and watchword. So looking at the materials, they are very technical, but they are very much rooted to authenticity, which I love. So the mesh, the nylon mesh is here. We have a lot of really great embossed exotics or exotic-like materials. We love a lot of the tribal jacquards. The poplin has some really great micro prints on them. And the marls in the lower left corner, these really beautiful lightweight marls are great for summer. For design details, again, in keeping with this very tribal influence, we love the idea of tribal piecing along the elbow or the sleeve. We have some really great braided closures. We have some really beautiful mystical inserts on clothing. And of course, there's lots of techno toggles to give you that active, inspired mood. For pattern and graphics, we have dotted tradition. Our team did a lot of great research and found some great art that originated from kind of the Aboriginals in Australia. So this was inspired by that. Really simple dotted designs are very aesthetically pleasing. So we kind of love how they can have hidden meanings. Next, we have mystical skies, really focused on like the eclipse and all of those, events that have been occurring for millions of years and how they still hold a bit of mystery to them. And also we have ancestral stories. So this one was really great because it focused on, the written language as it used to be, how they conveyed, important cultural stories through the generations. So these would kind of be patterns that you would find on the inside of caves or fossils, and we love the idea of using them in very small, subtle ways on jackets. So looking at our key items for Talisman, we have must-haves like the ritual jacket, and this is a great, another Harrington-style trucker silhouette, but it's embellished a bit more. The suit is very flowy and makes use of some really great cotton blends, and then the Outback sweater is curated with really great cutouts and rips, and some really subtle but masculine kind of beading and trim. Next, we have the Tasmania shirt, which is a really great woven tee. It's a little more oversized and boxy. The pant is a beautiful new take on camouflage. It's a little more relaxed, and we love these kind of painterly dark brown colors. And then the Potomac t-shirt at the end is a boxy fit knit that has a really great use of splatter, bleaching effects, and other kind of dye influences. For tailored clothing, it's a little more fashion forward because this is a younger story. So we have this unconstructed shirt blazer that a guy could wear with jeans or shorts. The sport coats have this really great all over botanical patterns and dark grounds. And then loving this kind of monochrome embellishment. This is like a tissue weight blazer that we loved from Xenia that had this awesome tonal texture to it. For accessories and trim, again, a lot of that very native tribal influence. So jewelry is really important here. There's a lot of embellishment, a lot of, knotted closures and toggles and braiding. Looking at accessories specifically, we have strappy sandals. We have really squishy casual tote bags that can kind of evolve in size. And of course, this mini crossbody bag, perfect for the guy on the move. Finally, we have some coin pendant necklaces, lots of really great beaded and gemstone bracelets, and these relic jewels that are perfect for kind of the new take on charms. For denim, the jeans are very embellished. The camouflage denim shirts are really great. The parkas that are rendered in denim or chambray can be really fun. And also the anoraks come with lots of trim. Loving this bomber jacket in the middle. It's a perfect sporty addition to your denim assortment. And your woven shirt can be really great done in, short sleeve with a really strong stripe. So for brand alignment for Talisman, we're looking at Selected Ohm, both at Project in New York and Vegas. We have Charlie Holiday for some really great prints and patterns, also at Project in New York and Vegas. And then we have Stetson, loving the hats here. I think that they have a perfect place in this very authentic, inspired narrative. I think that completes our narrative, so I'm going to turn it back over to Team UBM for questions for today's webinar. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was awesome. I hope everyone got lots of information out of that. And now we're going to open up the floor to questions.
And just as a friendly reminder, this webinar will be hosted, the complete recorded version will be hosted on ubmfashion.com. In our new education portal, it says Learn at the top of the navigation bar. You can click there and find this complete presentation there. And it will also be emailed out to you after the presentation has completed. So our first question that's come through is for Tommy. And the question is, out of the trends that Michael presented, what are you seeing as most prevalent for the upcoming project? What are you...
I'm most excited about seeing the sort of unexpected combination of color, fabric, and pattern. And seeing it in Europe, the play on pattern and the mixing of fabrics and pattern and color, super important. Those three together, I think we're going to see a lot of unexpected versions of it during Project New York and Magic. And that's what I think I'm the most excited about.
Very cool. Then the next question we have is, do you see a huge growth in performance shorts for men?
And there's a big yes to that. There is a big trend towards performance apparel in general. We at Project in Las Vegas are launching a new area of performance and golf. It's called Project Golf. And that's due strictly on the trend of performance fashion, where how fashion has become almost performance wear. So performance fabrications, performance shorts, performance pants, all those lightweight performance fabrics are really important, and you can see that all at Project Golf.
Amazing. So those are the only two questions that we've had come through as of yet. We'll hold on just a minute or so to see if anyone has any additional questions to come through. Oh, here, we have one. Okay. What is the most important woven shirt silhouette going forward? A knit shirt silhouette? Do we want Michael to answer that one?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yes, that is a great way of putting it. I think that the more casual and the more close to the body that the woven shirt silhouette is, the better it seems to be performing out there. I think we have to remember that guys kind of shop with their hands and the way that things feel. So the way that suits over the last couple of years feel like a guy's favorite, sweatshirt or sweater, woven shirts are starting to move into that territory too. So nothing needs to be like too close to the body. Stretch is really important to wovens overall, but we are seeing a little more of an active influence with the overall shirt silhouette. And sorry, I just also want to jump in. I didn't say this before, but we have so much great content to show. So if anyone out there wants to check out more of FS, we'd love for you to email us at sales@fashionsnoops.com, and someone from our team will hook you up with the demo.
Okay, great. We have an additional question. What do you see as the most popular accessory trend? Michael, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that. So really it's all about the tech accessories. And what I mean by that is not necessarily accessories for your phones or tech devices, but it's actually having a place for all of your devices in your various things. So right now, all the bags that we love out there have a proper place for not only your Kindle and your MacBook and your iPhone, but all the other tech devices that we kind of carry with us every day. In addition to that, jewelry still continues to perform really well for men out there. The younger guys, especially in their 20s and 30s, and the young at heart, are really embracing, really sophisticated, refined bracelets and interesting watch straps that they can change out. So definitely don't turn your eye to kind of embellishing your assortment with a little bit of, well done masculine jewelry.
Great. Another question. Do you think brown will be important in t-shirts and fleeces?
Michael? I do.
Michael?
Browns overall, yes, I do. Browns are trending really, really nicely. There's just something about them, especially the red casted browns, are really beautiful when they're put on a fleece surface or jersey as well. So the more kind of marl that you can get, the better, because the guys are really responding to kind of that textural dimension. So right now, all of the myriad of browns are kind of what we call the new neutrals. They're beautiful, and I would say if you need two color ranges to focus on for spring, summer 19, it's the greens and the browns. Definitely don't ignore those two ranges.
Great. Another question for you, Michael. Do you see the cotton heavy trend still staying strong in basics?
I do, but specifically the cotton has to be smart. It's no longer just enough to have plain old cotton poplin, but guys are really reacting to, again, those stretch fits, all of those cotton blends that help it perform better. Anything that helps make cotton smarter is very, very important. So yeah, cotton's not going anywhere anytime soon, but we just want to make sure that we make it smart, and we want to make sure that it performs well for today's consumer.
Amazing. Another question for you, Michael. Any trends in non-denim bottoms for silhouette, flat front, question mark?
So I guess what they are talking about is kind of casual bottoms or non-denim silhouettes. So really the overall silhouette that we've noticed most out in the shows, trade shows and runway shows, is just a really perfect straight fit. It seems overall that a lot of people are kind of turning their backs on skinny fit or slim fit, quote unquote. But what they're doing is they're making sure that the straight fit that they offer out there is that perfect kind of combination of slim and I don't want to say relaxed, but the perfect combination of slim and non-skinny. And that's really what they're marketing it as. Most of the retailers out there, their overall assortment now is trending in that kind of slim, straight arena, and that's for all demographics, all age groups. So that's really what we're seeing for silhouette. It's just that perfect straight fit.
Great. Another question for you, Michael. Where do you see the trend for outerwear going this spring?
Oh, that's such a loaded question. I guess if I had to load it into two slices, one is updating the traditional shapes, so the trench and the Balmacon and the bomber. You want to make sure that you have plenty of those in your assortment, but make sure that you give them some really great fashion updates. Again, tissue weight fabrics are key. You want to do some really great things with pattern. Doesn't have to be crazy. You can do really mainstream kind of menswear motifs. And then the other slice of that is all that really active inspired outerwear. Parkas and anoraks continue to perform really well, especially for the younger guys. Color blocking is really important, doing things with kind of convertible silhouettes, hooded silhouettes. So those are the two slices you want to focus on, is updated tradition and definitely giving him some really great kind of active inspired technical pieces.
Amazing. What prints are you seeing more in terms of geos, conversational, or layered prints? Michael?
Well, I think we touched on a lot of those in the presentation today, but in addition to all the expected florals and camos and doing them in new colorways, I think the biggest, most important pattern messaging is all the micro motifs. So things that maybe don't necessarily need to scream out loud, as I said earlier, but once the guy kind of knows what he's wearing and people up close can kind of see it. We love the idea of doing really great kind of micro motifs, micro messaging, and as far as like messaging itself, I'm guessing you're implying like words and things like that. You want to be really conscious of going back in there. We had years of that being really big, and it became very cliche and very cheesy. So I would be very conscious of having a lot of screaming word graphics. If you really want to touch on it in a really light way for your youngest consumer, it's probably okay, but just be really conscious of the taste level for them.
Great. Another question for you, Michael. Why do you think Australia is proving to be such a cultural inspiration and relevant right now in relation to the Talisman narrative?
Well, we have a huge culture team here at FS, and over the last year, so much of the spiritual and mystical influences have come out of Australia. If you really think about it, Australia is still one of those places that is very foreign to most people around the world. It's really untouched. So as we talk a lot about that ecotourism and those places that you've never been, Australia just kind of keeps coming up in the conversation. We love the idea of a lot of the brands out there doing some great collaborations with, not only the country of Australia, but also some really great traditional brands there as well. But it's just one of those things that we feel in the zeitgeist that is going to be really important going into the next year. So you'll just have to trust us, and I promise as the year comes, you're going to start seeing a lot of mentions of Australia in the cultural zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm. Another question for you, Michael. Any important trends for the more mature man?
Well, I think that you want to pay a lot of attention to the first two narratives, Main Street and also Ventura, specifically Ventura. I think that right now we have worked so long in this industry, so many years, on getting that more modern traditional that more older traditional customer over to slimmer fits, not worrying about bulky pleats, being more educated about styling, and we've done a really good job at that. So we have to make sure that we keep giving him pieces that kind of keep him happy in that realm. So I really love Ventura as a focus for the more mature customer, because I love the idea of kind of giving him great suede jackets to wear with his suiting. I love the idea of giving him very refined, sophisticated knits that he can wear under his jackets. I also think the colors are perfect in that one for the more mature customer.
Great. Another question. What are some of the key details in leathers and suede jackets that you're seeing? Michael.
Yes, for design details, we are noticing, in addition to, of course, overall being lighter weight, as I mentioned earlier, as far as the details go, a lot of patch pockets, a lot of, utility-inspired details, so that pronounced stitching. We're noticing the collars are a little more pronounced, a little more oversized, and that kind of balances out the slimmer silhouette of the jacket overall. But, everything that we're seeing on suede and leather doesn't take away from the fabric itself. So it doesn't get out of hand, and it's not cheesy or anything like that. It just kind of puts more visual attention on the fabric itself.
Great. And then for you again, Michael, do you see rose quartz or light pink going away anytime soon?
Nope, not at all. And if you saw that Ventura narrative, you'll see that the color palette overall is full of light pinks. We don't really like to say millennial pink because it's moved way beyond that now, but there's some really beautiful kind of sunset pinks out in the marketplace. I think they especially look good for, outerwear. I think they look great for fashion suiting separates, but men love pink right now, and it continues to perform really well across all markets. So don't turn your back on pinks. You can feel really confident in them.
Cool. And again, for you, Michael, asking about poly seersucker shorts and pants, asking if that's a big fabric, an important fabric for spring 2019.
I don't know necessarily that it has to be, poly seersucker blends, but yeah, because of all of those updated traditions that we saw in the Main Street narrative earlier, there is a big focus on how do you make seersucker or puckered cottons look really cool. My favorite ones in the marketplace are all the over-dyed ones. So I really love the blue and black ground seersucker. I love the idea of doing some unexpected colorways. But for pants and shorts overall, I think it's a really great key item to have in your assortment. Maybe you offer it as a separate, so if a guy wants to pair it back to the jacket, he can. But for sure, pants and shorts, and also for shirts, it's a home run.
Great. And then again for you, Michael, we have someone asking for a little bit more information about flowers on men's trends. Can you tell us a little bit more about what to expect in that regard?
Yeah, I can even give you a little preview into what. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, not for, I'm sorry, did you say pattern or for details?
Oh, could be pattern, could be details. They haven't specified.
Okay. I mean, overall, the florals are really kind of like very hyper real. We're not talking about florals for the wallflower, pardon the pun, but these are really bold, colorful, 70s inspired florals. And if anyone saw the runways over the last 3 weeks, if anyone saw Louis Vuitton last week and what Virgil Abloh did with these kind of Wizard of Oz inspired poppies that he put on jackets, that's the direction that florals are going for men. Guys cannot get enough of like florals and palm motifs and Hawaiian tropic inspired patterns, but they're all super lush, really bright, warm colors. And yeah, we're not talking about like really dainty, ditzy florals. We're talking about very kind of retro psychedelic florals.
Another question for you, Michael. How far out do you see the jogger living?
The jogger is not performing as well anymore, so I would really pull back your dollars on the jogger. One thing as a trend forecaster that we do, in addition to seeing what people are buying, we see what's on the markdown racks. And I can tell you there's a lot of joggers on the markdown racks right now. So I'd be very conscious of putting a lot of your open to buy into joggers for spring 19. I think it's okay if you want to still have some pants that have active inspired details. So maybe a drawstring waist closure, maybe you have some cool like zip cuffs, but I'd be very, very leery of doing too many pants with kind of like elastic cuffs. Even the youngest of the guys are turning away from those. So I would definitely say that is on the way out.
Cool. What about the vintage licensed graphic trend? Do you see that staying?
I do. If you joined our webinar last season, you know that we focused a lot on kind of like traditional fabric mills and, British brands that have been around for a very long time. I love the idea of all of our, partners and brands at the shows, teaming up with some of these really great old school brands that, a lot of people haven't thought about in many years, and, working with them on doing some great collaborations specifically for graphic tees and jackets and things like that. I think there's such a great world out there of brands that there's still so much more to get from them and to teach a whole new generation about them. So I would definitely encourage all of you out there to do some research and some digging and find some of those brands that need a little TLC and kind of, brush the dust off of their branding and do something cool with them.
Great. Another question for you, Michael. What will be the most important cut for jeans, and what type of performance denim fabrics are gaining traction?
So let me speak to the performance denim first. So most of our retail partners out there that we speak to, what's performing best is denim that just has about 1% elastic in it. That is the perfect combination. Any more than that, or adding polyester into the blend, it gets to be a little sweatpanty, if you will, and guys aren't reacting to that as well. It doesn't need to be so in his face that his jean has stretch and performance. It really should look like a typical, traditional jean. It should just feel better when he wears it. And also, the more you add into the blend, the worse it holds its shape. So just be really conscious of that. For overall denim silhouettes, the best denim that's out there performing is, again, just like the casual bottoms that we spoke of a few minutes ago, that perfect, slim, straight fit. Don't taper it too much. Guys are really putting a lot of money into their footwear right now, so you're seeing a lot of cuffs for their denim, so you definitely want to give him a really clean leg so that he can show off the footwear, the sneakers, the brogues, the loafers. It's all about the footwear. So any pants and jeans that he wears, he wants that to take the back seat to the shoes because he wants everyone to see the shoes.
Great. And then our last question that we have on here for Michael, do you think that streetwear has reached its height in the market, or will it continue to grow and capture more market share? Is it safe to say that this category is now a mainstay?
I think it is a mainstay. I mean, once we see Virgil Abloh move into Louis Vuitton, and anyone that saw the show, last week, I think streetwear as an influence is here to stay. I don't think we're going to not be talking about it for at least the next, 2-3 years. I think that overall what you have to remember is that it's really the streetwear influence. We're not necessarily suggesting that everyone needs graffiti prints in their assortments and, baggy hoodies with crazy logos. Really what it means is that overall men as consumers want this kind of relaxed notion into their daily dressing. And that's where the streetwear influence comes into play. So I would say even if you're a retailer that doesn't necessarily sell classic, modern streetwear, look to the guys out there on the street who are encapsulating what it means to wear streetwear and try to find ways to inject that into your assortment. So, clothes should not be too stuffy. They shouldn't be too precious. They should be fun, and they should feel really good when he's wearing them. And I think that's the lessons we can take from streetwear.
Great. We had another question come in for you, Michael. What is the one shoe we all need for men's spring-summer 2018?
All right, I'll give you a casual one and I'll give you a dressier one. For a dressier one, the loafer, everyone needs a loafer, and this is kind of the Guccification of the menswear industry. Everyone is loving a really fun loafer, whether you do a horse bit, whether you do a really great color-blocked upper, the more casual and fun it is, the better it's going to perform. As far as sneakers go, I know that a lot of people out there are probably pushing the quote-unquote ugly sneaker trend. That is definitely something that doesn't have staying power. I don't think in 6 months or 12 months we're going to be talking about guys that want these super chunky 80s-inspired sneakers. In my opinion, where you want to put your open to buy are sneakers that kind of stand the test of time, kind of the Stan Smiths, the really clean leather sneakers, really beautiful, leather uppers in colorways that he's not going to get tired of, that he can wear most, day into night, work into play.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Well, That was all the questions we had. So just want to give a big thank you to you, Michael, for A, the presentation, and B, answering all these questions. That was great.
Great. Love the questions. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so we're going to sign off. Just as a reminder, you can find the complete presentation full with Q&As on ubmfashion.com. Just click on the main navigation that says Learn, and so you'll find it within our education portal. And it will also be emailed out to you after this presentation has concluded. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Until next time.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good season.